What's up, everybody? This is Peanuts 24/7 welcoming you to the other end of the NMCU, the NCAA Madden Connected Universe, where we are introducing and going through the preseason for the New York Football Jets. Always been wanting to say Jets. Jets. Shout out to my cousins who are Jets fans back on the East Coast. We're going to be running a 4-3 defense under Herm Edwards. We're going to be pretty balanced across the board, although RB1 is going to be the main RB here. We've got about $4.6 million in cap room. Our main rival are the Dolphins. Apparently, our prestige is in the tank, and this is what our roster is looking like right now. We've got 6 years left on a deal for Chad Pennington, who's in his 5th year in the league at an 89 overall, just on the edge of an elite quarterback, although his season last year was pretty good. 2,600 yards, 16 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions. We're just hoping that he can lead this offense that has some good pieces to it. We've got a good line at the very least. We've got good receivers. We've got a pretty decent running back. So it's really about whether or not Chad Pennington can lead this offense, put things together, and make sure the ball continues to move forward, and to give the defense as much time as possible to give us success on the other end there. So Chad, he's not on the hot seat quite yet, I would say, but I don't think he might not be on the hot seat in a couple of years. This is a surprise to me because I've played a lot of ESPN 2K5, and Curtis Martin is a 95 in this game with 5 years left in his deal. He's going to be on this team until he's 15 years in the league. And I mean, it's maybe possibly because he had a crazy 2004, 1,600, nearly 1,700 yards and 12 touchdowns. So we're hoping that Curtis Martin can continue to turn back the clock. 10 years in the league is a long time for an every down kind of a running back. He also has some decent hands. He'll be able to catch a ball or two out of the backfield. But with Baylock and with that rookie Curtis Martin behind him, we are kind of expecting Curtis Martin behind him. That's his name. But with a rookie behind him, we are expecting Curtis Martin to take on the lion's share of the carries and the catches out of the backfield. Moving on in the roster, we've got Jared Soule in his 8th year, veteran in the fullback position. You can see both of our fullbacks are on the final years of their current deals, so they'll both need re-signings next year. We've got Lavernius Coles on this roster, not Santana Moss. If you remember history, Lavernius Coles was traded from Washington for Santana Moss, so that's where he is. You also got Justin McCarrans and Wayne Corbett in the final year of a veteran contract. He only had 1 touchdown last year, so we're hoping for a bounce-back year for a surprisingly young Lavernius Coles. Doug Jolly is our tight end, young again, 2 years left in that deal, and he's an 84 overall. He can catch the ball, as you saw in those highlights. Jason Fabini, a good left tackle, 90 overall, and you're going to see kind of the left side of the line is much better than the right side of the line. We've got the veteran Pete Campbell making a pretty penny here with 4 years left in his deal. He's got $20 million on that contract, 92 overall. And then with 1 year left in his deal, we might want to think about potentially extending this a little bit, because a 98 overall center, even though he's 11 years in the league, is still a very, very good center. Now on the right side, we got an 82 Brandon Moore. He's okay. He's only 2 years in the league, and he's cheap, so I'm hoping he can grow and get better as the season goes on. Right tackle is a little bit of a concern. We've got Adrian Jones, and we've got Ethan Brooks below him. They're both young. Adrian Jones is going to be the starter for now. You'll see that we have position battles soon. Now on the defensive side of the ball, we've got some hitters here. We've got Sean Ellis, the left end, 5 years in the league, 93 overall. He's had double-digit sacks each of the last 2 seasons. I'm hoping we can get him back into that double-digit sack number once again. And honestly, we're expecting him to be the anchor of this defensive line. He can get off of the block and into the running back lanes. He can certainly get after the quarterback. When I played a bunch of these games to get this footage, he had a ridiculous amount of sacks off of the line just as a computer. So one thing I am excited about in playing these games versus playing 2K5 is getting just some sacks with guys as a computer controlling them. I think that's going to happen a lot more often in this game. It's probably going to happen to me a lot more often in this game, but we don't have to worry about it. We got John Abraham on the other side. He's in his final year of his contract, and he's got $6 million on the books, 6.7 on the books. He's a good defensive end. He's not met 10 sacks in either of the last 2 seasons. He's kind of maybe regressing a little bit, and he's not the happiest. We'll get to that a little bit later. We'll talk about John Abraham. There's a reason why we're not highlighting him super hard in this little bit of the beginning. Spoilers, I guess. We got Dwayne Robertson and we've got Lance Legree as the starting 2 defensive tackles. At left outside linebacker, we've got Victor Hobson, a very talented second-year guy. He's an 80 overall. We're hoping he gets better as the season and the years go along. And we've got Jonathan Vilma as the anchor, the leader of our linebacker unit. He's been a pro for a year. I guess he's in his second year of the league, so I gotta adjust how I talk about this here. But Jonathan Vilma can pursue the running back. He can get after the quarterback. He's good in coverage, and we're just very excited about having him as a middle linebacker. If you pass over the middle, expect to get hit hard. If we send him on a blitz and you don't pick him up right away, he's going to get to where he's going before you can react to it. And I think that there's only up for this kid right here. So we're very excited to have Jonathan Vilma as the leader of this linebacker unit, as you see him just kind of lay out a receiver there, and we'll see what he can do in this season, his second year in the league with the New York Football Jets. Eric Barton, technically a better overall for now, 6 years in the league, so technically he's the veteran presence on this linebacker unit. He'll be in for the nickel sets. Now we've got a little bit of a position battle, a little preview to the position battle here between Donnie Abraham and David Barrett. Both of them are 87s overall. David Barrett is a little bit younger, has a longer contract. Eric Coleman, also in his second year in the league at free safety, an 83 overall. We're pretty excited about what he can do. And in his fourth year, I'm going to start saying this right, in his fourth year, John McGraw is a 78 overall. There is a rookie on the bench below him, so maybe a little bit of pressure in his final year to perform here for John McGraw. Mike Nugent is one of our only rookie starters. The kicker is a rookie out of, it doesn't tell me right there, so we're just going to go with the fact that he's an 84 overall. And Micah Knorr is our punter at an 82 overall. So the first thing that we did was I wanted to sign a right end, and we're going to get to it. So we go ahead and grab Will Overstreet. We get him for a nice long deal. He's young. He's okay. He's like borderline starter level. We also go ahead and trade one of our not as talented like third string defensive tackles. I mostly wanted to give way a little bit of room for some of the younger guys. Now we went through training camp. I'm not going to show any footage from training camp, but I am going to show you the results of any points that we were able to allocate. So we threw 1 point into awareness for Chad Pennington. He improves to a 90 overall. We get a 5-point increase for Jonathan Vilma, so we're able to increase him to a 90 overall, so he is now the most talented linebacker in the unit. Jericho Crotchety just gets a 1-point increase to his catching. Hopefully that will help the young receivers throughout the year. We get a 2-point increase to Justin Miller, so this is going to officially make Justin Miller the starting nickel cornerback. So whenever we go nickel, he will be that third cornerback in, so that's technically another rookie who's going to be getting playing time. Our rookie Mike Nugent got 2 points, gets his kick accuracy up to a 90. He's now an 87 overall. Good job by him. So we decided to put Cedric Houston through the running drills. Maybe I should have gone with Baylock, but he was only able to get 1 point. That point goes into break tackle. So here is our preseason schedule. We open at home against the Lions. We stay at home against the Vikings. We then travel to play the Giants, and then we stay on the road to play the Eagles. Like I said, there's a couple of position battles. I'm a little surprised that Coles is up against McCarron's. I'm less surprised about Jones and Brooks, and I'm also less surprised about Donnie Abraham and David Barrett going at each other. So we talked about John Abraham a little bit. His morale, he's the only guy on this team that has morale below 100%. So I decided to put John Abraham on the trade block. As you can see there, I'm just asking for round 1 picks. I would like you to put in the comments what you think we should try and get for John Abraham, because we'll get a lot of cap room back. Free agents, John Mobley goes to the Bears. Just get that defense a little bit scarier. John Gilden, who's a right end in this game, goes to the Cleveland Browns. Daryl Dixon, I think that's his name, Daryl Dixon, or is that the Walking Dead character, is going to the Buccaneers. Ronald McKinnon is going to play for the Arizona Cardinals. We've got Edwards going to, I think he was on the Chargers last year, but he's going to the Chargers for a 3-year deal. Dan Fior, a pretty okay guard, is going to play for the Colts to protect Peyton Manning. The Cowboys signed Chris Terry, a 90 overall center, so good job by them. Both Brock Marion and Willis are going to the Dolphins. So a couple of signings on them. This is a big one. The Falcons are signing Ty Law to protect the defense while Michael Vick does his thing on the other side of the ball. Both Corin Robinson and Daryl Gardner are headed to the 49ers. That's a couple of good signings for them. Mario Edwards, I don't know if that's actually Mario Edwards, is going to the Giants. Anderson, the kicker, is going to the Jacksonville Jaguars. The city is so nice, they named it Jacksonville. Kyle Turley, the right tackle, is going to the Lions, the team we're about to play. I thought about signing Kyle Turley, but I decided to not. Fields is going to play for the Packers. Lance Schulters is going to play for the Carolina Panthers. And the Raiders pick up Peter Boulware. That's a scary addition to that Raiders team. And then the Rams get Kwame Lassiter to play at free safety. The Ravens pick up Dan Neal, more than 90 overall right guard. And Teddy Bruschi is headed to play in Washington, D.C. What an interesting turn of events. Anthony Simmons is headed to play for the New Orleans Saints. Roman Pfeiffer is going to play for the Seattle Seahawks for actually a pretty decent deal. Forming a lot of middle linebackers moving around, is signing a 2-year deal with the Texans, and Brandon Whiting is going to play for the Tennessee Titans. So the first game up we have are the Detroit Lions, not to be confused with the Detroit Lions that we built in ESPN 2K5. They are an 86 overall to our 88 overall. I'm actually surprised we're so good, but we came out and we took care of absolute business. The New York Jets get their first win in the preseason by a score of 27-6. Chad Pennington and Jay Fiedler both played okay, but it was Fiedler who ended up throwing for a touchdown and 2 interceptions. Kevin Jones looking good, 21 carries for 116 yards, but look at Derek Baylock, 30 attempts for 111 and 2 touchdowns. Hell yeah. Roy Williams, 5 for 85. He was the high receiver for the Detroit Lions. Doug Jolly, look at him, the tight end, coming down with 4 catches for 50 yards. Mike Nugent was perfect from the field, 2 for 2 with a long of 38. And Daryl McClover and Barry Gardner leading with 5 tackles apiece, 2 sacks for Dwayne Robertson, 1 sack for Lance Legree. Great job by all of them. The rest of week number 1, the Chargers beat the Packers. We beat the Lions. The Patriots beat the Bengals. Wow, it's hard to read these scores. The Bears, the Titans, the Saints, the Ravens, the Dolphins, the Bills, the Texans, the Browns, the Panthers, the Cardinals, the 49ers, and we got a tie between the Eagles and the Steelers. So this one's a bummer. We're going to be without Curtis Martin for 6 weeks. I think he's going to be out for at least the first couple of games of the regular season. He dislocates his elbow, so we go ahead and we sign Eddie George to ideally right now back up Eddie Baylock. So as of right now, Eddie Baylock is going to be the de facto number 1 running back while Curtis George is out. Curtis Martin is out. I don't know why I can't say that name correctly, but Eddie George is going to be a great second look back. I just don't think Houston is ready for that kind of responsibility yet, so we go ahead and just grab Eddie George, the legend, for a 1-year deal. You can see our overall takes a little bit of a hit because of the injury, but we're going to go ahead and face the Minnesota Vikings at home anyway, and we get another win. It was a little bit more of a rock fight, but we win by a score of 14-10. Let's check out how our players did. Very proud of how they showed up for this one. We had 2 more interceptions for Jay Fiedler, and again, no touchdowns for Chad Pennington, but 120 yards, while Dante Culpepper did throw a touchdown. Michael Bennett went for 63 yards. It looked like no touchdowns for the Vikings there, where Derek Baylock had another strong game, 78 yards and 2 touchdowns. Eddie George, though, got 13 carries and managed 47 yards, so, not as good, but at least it's good to have him out there. Jermaine Wiggins brought down 56 yards, but it was Klein Sasser who caught the touchdown. No touchdowns for the receivers, but it was Chris Baker leading the way with 44 yards. Daryl McClover once again leading all tacklers with 6. Eric Barton, Jonathan Vilma, Victor Hobson all getting up there, so I think our linebackers played a little bit more in this game. Looks like Brian Thomas got a sack and Will Overstreet forced a fumble, so great job by them. The Pats, the Falcons, the Jets, and Washington win in week number 2, as do the Browns, the Packers. The Buccaneers blow out the Jags. The Ravens beat the Eagles. The Panthers beat the Giants. The Colts beat the Bears. The Chiefs and Cardinals tie. Wow, a couple of ties here in the preseason. So we move right on to week number 3, a little battle of New York, nice and early in the preseason as we are just, it seems like there's a lot of parity going on here, and we take another win. We're 3-0 in the preseason. This is not going to be how this season goes, mostly because I'm going to be user controlling these guys, but apparently the simulation likes us right now as Chad Pennington throws his first interception of the preseason, but he still has not thrown a touchdown. Derek Baylock goes for 66 yards. Eddie George goes 3 for 20, so good job by him. Jericho Crotchety, it went for 40 yards. Derek Baylock for 27. Derek Baylock, isn't that the guy who's been doing all of the tackling? Anyway, Mike Nugent hasn't missed a field goal yet, so great job by the rookie for getting in there and doing his thing. Sorry, that's Daryl McClover. I get the D names confused. Eric Barton leads the way with 5 tackles. Looks like Sean Ellis forced a fumble. Barry Gardner got another interception. He's had a couple of those. The Jags beat the Falcons. The Eagles beat the Bengals. Steelers win. Looks like the Bills, the Patriots, the Browns, ourselves, the Vikings, the Raiders, the Titans, and the Dolphins getting victories in week 3. Another tie, the Colts and the Broncos, Texans, Chiefs, and Rams all getting wins as we head into the final week of the preseason. I want to check in on the position battles. Baylock is clearly going to be the starter here. I don't think that's going to be taken away from him. I think it's funny that this was a matchup in the first place. Lavernius Coles is clearly going to be wide receiver number 1. Great job by Jones to clear his way to be the starter. I think that was always going to be a thing. This is where it's interesting. Barrett and Abraham. Currently, Barrett is projected to be the starter. We go ahead and just make sure John Abraham doesn't get hurt because we are intending to trade him before the regular season begins. I think we're going to try and do that. And Curtis Martin, just to remind you all, has that dislocated elbow. He'll probably be missing the first 3 games of the regular season, which is a little bit of a bummer, but it is what it is. We're going to deal with it. So now, if there's any game that I think that we're going to lose here in this preseason, it's going to be against the Philadelphia Eagles, who, cover athlete Donovan McNabb, one of the best teams in the game. And we do indeed, it was a close one. We fought for it, 16-19, not a bad loss and wasn't blowout by any stretch of the imagination. The bummer is that Chad Pennington did not throw 1 touchdown for the entirety of the preseason. I did forget to grab all of the preseason stats, although we'll see the stats of, quote unquote, the important people, as Lavernius Coles goes for the high receiving in this one. T.O. going 3 for 74. Not bad work from him. That long catch of 60 yards probably helped. Mike Nugent finishes perfect with a long of 46, so great job by him. Lance Legree leading all tacklers with 7, so that's a good showing from Lance, the young fella, getting out there and doing his thing. But the one thing I want to see for Chad is that he only went about 427 yards and 2 interceptions. So I think that probably would have been the only one that we looked at as we look at our final results. Dolphins, Texans, someone else, the Packers, the Jags, the Patriots, the Steelers all getting wins. Washington, Raiders, Chargers, Bills, and then finally the Bengals beating the Colts. The Colts are 1-2-1. Interesting. So Baylock is going to be our starter. Great preseason from him, 263 and 4 touchdowns. Lavernius Coles, 12 catches, 151 and 2 touchdowns, will take wide receiver number 1. This one surprised me a little bit because he technically gave up a couple sacks, but Jones is going to be the starter. And then Barrett with an interception and 4 tackles. Even though Abraham picked up a fumble recovery, he is going to be the starter. Now we got a little bit of player progress. Baylock goes up a point. Good to see that. Legree goes up a point. Good to see that as well. So some of our young guys seeing progression in their new roles, and really good to see John McGraw improving a point as well in that strong safety position. Last signing, Fontenot, the center, goes to the Arizona Cardinals. And let's take a look at our schedule for season 1. We're going to open up our gameplay against the Chiefs at Arrowhead. We'll then be at home for the Dolphins and the Jags before getting back on the road for the Ravens, playing at home against the Bucks, and then visiting the Bills for a little bit more conference opponents. We're then staying on the road to go to the Falcons before taking our Week 8 bye. We open back up at home against the Chargers, have a 2-game road trip to the Carolina Panthers and the Denver Broncos before coming back home to face the New Orleans Saints, and then we finish the season out at the Patriots versus the Raiders, and then this is brutal, at Dolphins versus Pats versus Bills. So maybe we'll have some big games towards the end of the season. Maybe we'll be the team that they're looking forward to blowing out at the end of the season. Big one right here. Put in the comments what you think we should do for John Abraham. Should we try and get a boatload of picks? Should we try and get the best player we can, plus some draft assets? And if you haven't already, like the video, it helps new people find the content. Games for these series start next week. Very excited for this. Smash that like button, get subscribed to the channel if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching this far, for your stoke, for your kind words. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm glad you are as well. For Peanuts 24/7, we'll see you on the next one. Peace.